Welcome to All Things Retreat Podcast. I'm Holly Porter, your host and CEO of Retreat R&R. With over 25 years of experience in designing transformative retreats, I'm here to share insights and inspiration to help you create extraordinary experiences. Whether you're a pro or just starting out, you'll find valuable ideas here. Enjoy the ride. Let's dive in. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show today. We are going to be talking again about retreats. We're called All Things Retreats for a reason, and that's what we do, is share our goodness and greatness, and I bring great guests. You don't always get just me. Most of the time, you'll get great guests, and we'll bring them and just continue to listen in. We keep these about 20-25 minutes, and we just want to share whatever our audience is looking for, so please always give us feedback. But today, I do have a great guest. Her name is Michelle Anne Saunderson. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So she's the co-founder of Those Two Sisters, and she's a retreat leader with nearly 20 successful retreats under her belt. So alongside her sister, she's mastered the art of creating transformative spaces where women connect. No, they don't. They reconnect. With themselves and just rediscover their purpose and building a meaningful community. A former police officer, can't wait to hear about that, turned empowerment coach. Michelle combines her background in the science, NLP, a feminine energy work to guide others with authenticity and heart. Love that. Michelle's passionate about helping women align their lives with their values. She's on a mission to create success without sacrifice.
Yes. It sounds so good when someone else reads it out to you. You're like, is this me? Like, wow, that's impressive.
I know. I always think that. I'm like, wow, maybe I'll listen to myself.
Yeah.
I feel tongue-tied today.
You can't even blame at 6 o'clock in the morning. I can.
I know.
I'm over here in Australia, everybody, and showing up with the commitment, 6 a.m. because of the time zone difference. But I was like, no, I'm getting up and I'll be here. I'll get up quite early anyway. So
that was awesome. When she told me that, I was like, oh, you're a rock star. I wasn't even sure where you were in the world when we booked it. So I just saw the area code phone number and I was like, oh, she's somewhere else. Anyway, not in America, but no worries. We talk to people from all over the world here. We have no prejudice against anyone. So today, what I really want to talk with you about, Michelle, is creating retreats that transform lives.
Yeah.
And I know that since you've done over 20 retreats, that you have lots of juicy stuff to share. So we're just going to have a conversation. So, go grab a little drink for yourself and grab a notepad if you want to take some notes and sit back and listen, because Michelle's got some great stuff to share with us.
Running retreats is like my absolute passion. I do a lot of other stuff on the side, but every time we're at the retreat, before the retreat, it's always, we're never doing this again, because anyone that's run a retreat knows how much it takes to do the retreat. But when you're in it and you're seeing these transformations, it's like, this is what I'm on this earth to do. So I absolutely love it. That's one of my biggest passions. And I love seeing, as you talk about in the podcast, like the transformation of the women. They come in one way and they leave another. And it's absolutely mind blowing that at the start, we have the retreat. This is video as well, but they come in with the twitch on a Thursday or Friday afternoon, like, been in traffic and they've in their businesses and they're like, ugh. And a lot of them don't even know what they've signed up for.
No
your retreats are they a bit like that as well? People just don't even know. They just have this soul calling to say yes. And
what I always think is a good idea, I don't know what you think about this. I got a couple of things to say about what you're saying, is to do a before and after picture, because people's whole countenance changes. And because I've been a hairdresser for 40 years, I had a salon and spa for 20 years. That was one thing. And I never could think of anything else in a 2-hour period, because approximately a color takes long, to be able to transfer somebody's hair and personage from, a color to a cut to a totally different person in 2 hours. I can't think of anything else you can do it that fast, except a retreat. You could do maybe a 3 to 7 day period. Definitely.
It happens quickly. It happens so quickly. We have people, there's so many stories, but that they've tried to cancel. They're like, I nearly made up a story. I had COVID. they're like literally shaking, their jaws really tight. My sister, we can laugh about this now because we talked about this story because with this client's permission, because she's one of our high-end clients now. But when she first came to her first retreat, she was dark. My sister said, because I work with my sister, and she's like, I'm the people's person. She just goes like that and says, you're talking to her, I'm scared. Like, she was scared. Well, she was like, I was scared. And the ladies laughed because she said, I know, that's what I come across because it's my guard dog's up because I think everyone's here to attack me. And by the end, she gave us the most beautiful, amazing testimonial. And she's like, I'm in my swimmers. I've never been in my swimmers in front of anyone. These women that you bring together are just incredible. And I feel like they're now my sisters. And that retreat was probably 3 years ago. She's lost 30 or 40 kilos or something ridiculous.
Wow.
And her whole life's transformed. And she looks so different. And that's how quick. And it happens quick. It can happen within like 2 hours. You watch everyone's guards up because they don't know what they're for. And particularly if they don't know you. Sometimes friends invite people to retreats. You got to come to this thing because these girls are amazing. They turn up not knowing what they're in for other than that their friends said come along. So you can watch their body language. They're sussing us out like, who are these girls? Do I trust them? You know, you're not going to crack me. People have said you're not going to crack me. And within about an hour, you can see their body language. The guards down, their hands, their hands unclench, their chests open, their eyes suddenly look up, they become bigger, and their jaw softens. It's just incredible.
Something I want to mention too is I'm sure you just work with women. Is that correct?
We have done retreats with mixed male and female, but our specialty is women. Yeah.
Because I was going to say, if men are listening to our show, which hopefully they do, because retreats are mostly with women, but that doesn't mean there's men's retreats and they're getting a lot bigger. And even women are doing men's retreats.
Yes.
I love that. I love the mixed energies if they can do it correctly and have it,
Yeah, ours was very powerful. Yeah, very powerful. We had the male and the female, and our brother does a bit of men's work. And our other brother owns a cafe, so there's 4 kids in our family. So we went down and did this glamping retreat in these beautiful tents, and one brother catered for us, and the other brother came in and did the men's work. So he would during the day, he would take the men off and do the men's stuff, all that particular men's work. We did the women's work, and then we bring them back together in the afternoon, and it was just magic, the masculine and the feminine. Yeah, really powerful.
I love that. Love it. How long are your retreats usually?
So we run them usually from Thursday through till Sunday. So that's 4 days, but, 3 nights. And, that's powerful enough. Sometimes halfway through, I'm like, it feels like you've been there for 4 days. Every retreat's the same for me. I think it's going to get old. It never does. Like the next morning, we all like, we've only been here for like 10, 12 hours. And it feels like everybody knows it's at such a deep level because we take people really deep, really quick. Get the masks
like that
off.
Friendship that you create. Yes. You don't see someone for 20 years and see them again, and it's like it was yesterday. It's like you're creating that container for that, which is really rare.
It is very rare, and most people don't have that in their everyday life. No. They don't have bonds that are that deep. They don't have sisters that they can bare their soul to. We do sometimes, probably not so much now, but we used to do a little bit of trauma work where we'd bring people and get all their stuff up. And they're telling a group of women they met 2 days ago things they've never told a soul in their whole entire life. Sometimes stuff that they don't even admit to themselves when you dig a little bit deeper. And then they have this aha and they're like, whoa, I didn't even know that. How did you get that out of me? I was like, well, you just question women. And it's incredible. It's incredible.
Let's talk about this for a minute. This is coming up for me. I don't know, you've had a lot of personal development, I know, because we talked before, and same. And what's interesting is when somebody is teaching or doing something, usually it's because you already been through the fire. You've already dug your heels in and done your work, and you've done your personal development work. My advice, and I don't know, you give me your opinion on this, to especially new retreat leaders, is to figure out your niche, but don't jump into something until you've worked through it, because if you're going to guide someone through in a transformational experience, wow, and you have a breakthrough or yourself, you could be you're the leader. You could be totally falling apart and melting down at your event. And that's not the light they pay for.
It's so important. In saying that, that's definitely important. I've done my huge meltdown breakthrough. My sister's had hers. We know how to hold a woman. It's scary at times. Sometimes I doubt. I'm like, oh, this is big stuff. Am I qualified for this? But I know deep in my soul I am. I just know that I am. But also, I think it's important for retreat leaders to know that you need to show vulnerability as well. You can't
Yeah.
come across to these women as perfect. So
Absolutely.
every retreat, I have my own meltdown of sorts. Not a bawling mess in front of the whole group, but everything. There's always something that brings something up. Each retreat, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my god, can this retreat just be nice? Can I just not have my own
No,
healing?
but you're
Part of
right.
it.
Or when I'm saying it, it's more of you haven't done the work, so you haven't come out the other end yet.
Oh yeah,
You're
you
always
can't.
going to have like things that come up. I get that, and you need to
Yeah,
be vulnerable. And
yeah.
there's nothing wrong with crying. I mean,
But you
everybody
need to
goes
have done
through
your own
it and
healing.
cry. I mean, more than likely, if they don't, their walls are up and they're
That
not willing to release them. Right? It's okay. I mean, what are
yeah.
you coming for? Do you want the transformation or not? There are people that don't, and let's
Oh
talk
yeah,
about that. Since you've done 20,
yeah,
I feel like there could be one person that could ruin it for most, which is really
yeah.
unfortunate.
That
How
is
do you
possible.
handle things like that?
There is usually one, but it's just a matter of I always my sister and I we discuss it. We say we love that woman for where she's at,
Right.
and you can see the one that she's holding back. She's removing herself from the group. But I don't know. We have this ability to just love that person, and they feel it, and know they may not be all in. But we've never had anyone absolutely. Actually, I lie. We had one lady who I could see at the start she was going to struggle.
Mhm.
She got what she got out of it. She enjoyed it and she came at the end of the second day. And she said, "I really loved what you did. I feel like I've got what I needed.
Yeah.
So I'm going to head off." We said the way she did it
Let
wasn't.
the release.
It was beautiful. And so when she left, everyone was singing to her, "Hey, soul sister," and everyone chased her down the driveway cheering, and she had a beautiful thing. And it wasn't a bad thing. She just said,
Right.
I felt like I got what I needed from this. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Uh,
But other
Now,
than that,
I was in a group one time. There was about 17, and it was it was a class, like a 12-week class.
yeah.
And boy, you couldn't leave. Like you weren't going to get out of there
Wow.
before completing it. Like you had that whole group holding you accountable. And I look back and I didn't like that process. I didn't like the way it felt because someone in there betrayed me. Like the whole reason I was taking it, they like betrayed me with what I was in there for. And it was like, I felt like as soon as that happened, I went backwards the rest of the time. I went ahead
Yeah.
and completed the course because I was committed and we had a buddy
Yeah.
and and that experience for me was like, what did I learn? I learned that you can walk away. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
not in your best benefit. It's not protecting you to stay in something for somebody else. You have to. So for her to know that about her and that she walked away and left in a good place and you
Yeah.
all like supported her,
Yeah.
that was probably more transformational than having her talk her into staying.
Agreed. And we always, ask the question and we try to get to the bottom of, what it is. I mean, it's the only one we've had actually leave. The others have all come around. They've got different varying experiences of retreat.
Yeah.
Some women throw themselves all in and come out with life-changing transformation. Other
Mhm.
women just come and just relax. And we actually have a talk at the start and we say, okay, this is what we're offering. Where are you? We don't want to push you. So we get them to stand in groups. We say, if you're here just to sip cocktails by the pool, not that we have alcohol, but if you want to lie by the pool, you come in this group and there's no judgment. If you're on the edge and you're just not sure, stand here. If you're on the edge and you want us to push you, stand here. And
Oh, that's a great way. What
99%
a
of the
great thing
people.
to say. Yes.
And that way, when they say, don't push me, or that you can say they're putting up barriers, we're like, well, you told us, at the start you wanted to be pushed. Is that still correct? And usually it is because that's what they've been guided to
I
do.
think by having one-on-one Zooms with them before you get there so that you're
Yeah.
not total strangers and
Yeah.
asking, like you said, those important questions on a survey and then doing the Zoom. If retreat
Yes.
leaders will take that little extra time to
Yes.
give that effort and love. Another thing that you said, I could tell we were just like thinking out the same. When you said love them where they're at, I just want to
Mm.
share that was so I had a near death experience and um, I was told there that that was the message I came back with to love them where they're at. And it wasn't
Yeah.
just about unconditional love. It changed it for me it switched the script. It was like,
Mhm.
it takes that judgment away when people
Mhm.
are, it's just what they know and who they are. And then you can love them unconditionally, but if you add those words, love them where they're at. I
Yeah,
loved that you said that, because that was a game changer for me when I remembered that piece of my near death experience. It was just like, oh yeah, it's just where they're at. So I can't change that. So I'm just going to love them where they're at. So thank
that's
you for
right.
bringing that up. It just like triggered that for me.
That's
Um,
perfect.
so what are some other things that you would suggest would be good? We're going to have mostly leaders listening to this. We're
Mhm.
also, you're one of our first guests on the show when we launch it. And so it's the first of the year right now. I'm just curious, as people are listening and retreat leaders are listening now and later, what would you say would be some good things that would create, like what's maybe coming to your mind that the best transformation you've seen, like something maybe you did that you're like, whoa, I'm gonna do that. That now is a part of every, maybe it's
Yes.
a fire
Oh,
ceremony. I mean, whatever it is.
yeah. Every time we do retreat something, we change something. It's an evolving thing.
Love it. Yeah.
So there's two things there that I thought you were going to ask for a tip. So firstly, I'll just quickly do that. One of the biggest tips we found over our experience is after retreat comeback, providing support, particularly if it's a retreat that's bringing a lot of stuff up for women.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because yes, you only have 3 or 4 days with them, and then we provide support afterwards. I think that's really, really important if you're starting retreats, to give them Zoom calls, group closing calls, closing down the container. We've got a whole module they get where we have a podcast for them to listen to. We have a tick and flick of, we call it the after retreat comeback, all the things to embodiment processes when they get home, to make sure they don't go from here down the bottom, because we had that for a little bit. So that was one tip. But the other thing is, the biggest thing we do is a running thing in our retreat now. It's called FTA, and it's called, can I swear on your podcast? I'll just, fuck the agenda. Because
Okay.
yes, we have the agenda. We spend a lot of time on it. However, it's reading the group. You can't be rigid. You can't go, I want to do this exercise, and you can see the group clearly doesn't need that exercise. We've had whole retreats where I don't even carry the agenda anymore. My sister, she
Wow.
runs, we've got different roles. She does the coaching and she reads, and I support, and I just like, we just read the flow, and we're on the same page. I say, look, I don't think
Sure.
this is, and sometimes we don't speak. We just know. We just look at each other.
I
We know,
agree.
and you just got to let the retreat flow. It's different when you first start. You definitely need an agenda, and you need to semi follow it. But my biggest advice is watch your people. They will tell you what they need. Not just watch them with your eyes. Watch their body
Right.
language. Watch how
Yeah.
they're interacting. Watch their energy levels. So much goes on behind retreat. The ups and the downs, everything you say. There's 20 women. It'll get taken 20 different ways.
Yeah.
And you just got to watch. You're on, constantly on. You can't just be in your own little world. You've got to be watching everything.
What would you say for a retreat leaders like, oh, I don't know, I'm new to that, like body language, what do you mean? I love to people watch. I love
Yeah,
nothing
same.
more than just hang out at a mall and just sit there and watch
Same.
people. People are fascinating. But
Yes.
what would you say if you don't really feel like you have that skill? I mean, that's a good way to practice. However, there's no way of reciprocation for them to, oh, I see you're watching me. Did you see that I'm sad today? I mean, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
what would you recommend for someone listening?
I'm always saying, listen listen with more than your ears. And it's not even, yes, there's a body language department part of it, but it's what they say. If you listen to someone's actual words, they tell you the answer. It's incredible. So if you can just relax and listen with more than your ears, and just
Yeah.
hear what words are they telling you, what are they saying, and don't get in your own head, because what you're coming up with ideas, if you actually listen. When I coach, I actually type when I'm on Zoom. I say to them, I'm typing because I can touch type and look at you, because you tell me the answers. And I've lost count of how many times you let a person just speak, let them speak, and I just type as I talked a little, and they've answered their own question. I read it back and they say, did I say that? I said, yeah, you did. And I do the same thing at retreat. You listen, and they'll tell you with their words, and body language thing just comes with a little bit of experience. Once you've dealt with people, you get to know people pretty
Women
well.
naturally, I think, have that skill to talk things out. We say a lot more words per day than men. I always joke with my husband comes home and I'm, and he's like, keeps muting, the TV or whatever. And I'm like, oh, well, I haven't hit my word quota yet today. I just think naturally we do that. But how I solve things is to get on the phone or a Zoom with a girlfriend and talk it out, or mentors. I have a mentor. He's the biggest word nerd I know. He literally reads the dictionary. It's taken him actually a couple of years, and he's mapped out how many pages he has to do a day to finish it, like in another year. I am like, for fun, he reads
Wow.
the dictionary,
Wow.
and I'm like, I know what I'd rather do than do that, but it's just, it cracks me up. He learns new words, then he puts it, he's a writer, he puts it into stuff, and everybody learns differently. I mean, that I can't think of anything less fun than doing that for me.
Yeah.
And I say weird names and words for things, but you know what? It's who I am, and it's just how it is. So love me where I'm at.
Exactly. Love you where you're at. Exactly. Right. Oh,
Anything else
yes.
you can think of?
And watching the connection between people too, because you can pick up again alternate. If there's sometimes you get a little bit of tension because you've got so many different personalities in the room, and again, if you're watching closely, you'll see people removing themselves, people distancing them from the group. Everyone has slightly different behavior, so again, is watching. Um, Activities wise, we do a lot of different things, but it all depends on people's qualifications, I suppose, like what
Yeah,
they're and what type of retreat it is. Like some retreats are literally just relaxation retreats. Some are yoga retreats.
yeah,
Ours is a transformative, like life changing, life coaching style retreat with the beautiful relaxation in the middle.
sure.
The other tip I would say is if you are doing the transformative style retreat, is people need downtime to
Mm-hmm.
process. You
Oh
need to give
yes,
them time to go away and lie by the pool and process all the stuff that's just come through. Because we want
yeah.
to give, give, give. When we first started, we were just wanting to give so much, but we realized the power was in the space in between sessions.
Hence the
So,
word retreat. Right.
yes, yes.
Yeah. Well, I
So
love that you've
allowing that
done
time.
so many now that you do change. No two are alike. Your
Never.
agenda, yeah, like you said, could be the same, but I think just those little tweaks, those audiences, the clients that you attract and bring there, just change the energy. And when you
Yeah.
are wise enough to follow the energy, I think that's a huge breakthrough for everybody,
Yeah. And
including
people keep coming
including
back.
you. Yeah,
So they keep coming back over and over. We've had people do 4 or 5 of our retreats and still want more because they're never the same. Even though they're the same concept, they're never the same. The same group of women are never the same.
yeah,
So
never right.
yeah, like I said,
Well,
like
just
we
kind
got
of wrapping things up, I'm
yeah,
wondering, I know we could talk forever because we have lots of stories. I'm sure we could get people rolling on the ground about. I remember having all the hair salon stories. I had some crazies, let me tell you. We were talking about the other day. It's like they're just stories. Stories are fun. And what I'm thinking is for a retreat leader, what would you say? Well, I guess I want to say about retreat leaders. I want to say, how do you feel about retreat leaders going to retreats? It's kind of like coaches need coaches, mentors need
yeah.
mentors, right? What's your opinion on that?
Oh, I personally feel it's very, very important to
Yeah.
do not only your own time out, but your own self development as well.
Yeah.
I do all sorts of retreats. I've got friends that run retreats, so I go and do their retreats. I've
Mhm.
got a friend, I do yoga retreats. I've got another one that does spiritual retreat. And then there's things like Tony Robbins. But I definitely would say to any retreat leader, you have to keep doing your own self development.
Yeah.
It's just a
Yeah.
must. If you're
Right.
bringing people on this journey, you have to be able to do it yourself.
Yeah. Any coach I've ever had, if they don't have a coach themselves, I don't want to coach with them because I feel
No.
like you're taking money. It's not reciprocity. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You're not giving to get. You just want to get, and it's like, no, that's not how it works. You know, you gotta. It's like your job on the job training. You got to
Mm-hmm.
go and keep bettering yourself. So I love that you do that. I can tell we can have things in sync all day, and maybe one day we'll have your sister on here and we'll get her perspective as
Yeah.
well. But I appreciate you coming and being a guest and being part of our first part of our All Things Retreat podcast. And tune in, everybody, every Wednesday mornings. Mornings in the US. That would be night for you, or the next day probably for you, actually. But thank you for coming on today and being here. You're a great guest. And I think that these people listening are going to really get some nuggets out of this. At least I hope they do. That's the goal. And thank you
You are
again.
welcome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Even if it's from the other side of the world, I've loved every minute and being able to discuss my passion. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. Okay, everybody, till next time. Bye for now. Thank for joining us on this episode of All Things Retreat. We hope you're leaving with new ideas, fresh inspiration, and the motivation to take your retreats to the next level. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. It helps us grow and reach more retreat leaders like you. And if you have any questions, topics you'd like us to cover, or just want to say hello, send us an email at info@weretreatrnr.com. Follow us on social media to stay connected and catch all the latest updates. Until next time, remember, great retreats start with great intentions. Let's make them extraordinary, one step at a time.